While Colombia made significant strides in addressing human rights challenges in 2023, many pressing issues persist. Non-state armed groups and criminal organizations continue to expand their control over lands and communities with serious impacts on human rights. High levels of violence are disproportionately affecting rural communities, indigenous and Afro-descendant peoples and their leaders. Last year, my office verified 105 killings of human rights defenders and 98 massacres in which 320 people were killed. We also verified 53 cases of gender-based violence, including sexual violence, and 134 cases of recruitment or use of children by non-state armed actors. Such levels of violence require increased civilian protection efforts by the government, and I urge the government to do its utmost to expand and maintain a comprehensive state presence throughout the whole country. I also reiterate the UN Security Council's call that the 2016 peace agreement remains central to the government's peace policy today. My office continues to call for an accelerated implementation of the peace agreement with a specific focus on advancing the ethnic chapter. I welcome the new participation mechanism created as part of the peace negotiations with the National Liberation Army and recall that permanent dialogue between the state and civil society is paramount to just and lasting peace. Despite the challenges, Colombia has made concrete commitments and taken action to progress on human rights. The recognition of peasants' rights and the creation of the agrarian jurisdiction are very much welcome, both major initial steps in realizing the rural reform outlined in the peace agreement. I also welcome the adoption of the following key public policies: the policy to dismantle criminal groups and their support networks, the humane security policy, and the drug policy. However, I encourage coordination between stakeholders who are implementing these policies as a means to address more effectively the root causes of violence and armed conflict. On transitional justice, I commend the continued progress by the Special Jurisdiction for Peace, the Search Unit for Persons Deemed as Missing, and the Follow-up Committee on implementation of the recommendation of the Truth Commission. We particularly welcome the state's public recognition of its responsibility for extrajudicial executions by the army and its apologies to victims' relatives. We also welcome the opening by the Jurisdiction for Peace last year of its investigations into gender-based violence, including sexual violence. My office remains fully committed to supporting the transitional justice mechanisms and accompanying victims as they participate in the process. I will report later this year to the Council on our assistance to implement the recommendations of the Truth Commission. My office will continue advocating for a more effective system to protect human rights defenders and will support integration of human rights approaches into the security sector. In light of this, I also urge Colombia's Attorney General's office to advance towards ensuring accountability for all human rights violations and abuses. Finally, I reiterate the call made by my office for the Supreme Court promptly to elect a new Attorney General. I take this opportunity to thank the government of Colombia for its continued openness in recognizing and discussing human rights challenges that the country is facing.